Yeah, drove down. Hey, man.
How you doing?
Big fan of you, man. Brandon Staley.
Thank you.
Pleasure, man.
Yes, sir.
You guys are killing it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Josh hit me yesterday and said, hell yeah, I'll do it.
I appreciate
You guys
that.
are doing so well. I can't imagine telling Pacman Jones and Brandon Marshall. No. I can't imagine, because what I was excited about was just getting you around our guys.
Right.
Because you're the two. You're two of the guys that these guys grew up watching.
Right.
And we got receivers that can learn something from you. We got DBs that can learn something from you, vice versa. And I just love it when you've walked their shoes. And I think anytime that NFL fraternity can come together, it's always special. Did you share some wisdom with Zant or what? Man?
Oh yeah, Zant, my boy. Yeah, I was telling him, you gotta get that on that back shoulder, man.
Yeah,
He's in perfect position. You should have picked that ball.
I'll tell you, the one-on-ones though against the 6'8" guy though.
Yeah.
He's getting so 2 practices ago. I wish I could show it to you. So he was on Mike, and Mike had a cut split, and they'll run those big box from the cut split and on the backside of 3-by-1. And Zant did a great job. He kind of, he inched out of there, and then he knew that Mike was going back shoulder, played right through the inside pad and broke it up. And that was the big thing on him. Is he a nickel only?
Yeah.
Same thing. Can he play outside? And it was a big thing for him because we've been working really hard at it. And he's come back, man. I'm telling you, so last year at camp he was 179. This year he's 186, and he's got juice coming out of that break.
Because he was at House of Athlete.
But he's a baller.
Yeah.
This guy is
feisty.
He's really smart. So much toughness, pride. He's got the flexibility and all that, but he's just a real player, man. Yeah. And we love coaching him. So.
Coach, I like to get a little messy on the show. I'm gonna jump right into it, right? What we doing this year on 4th down, right? You're aggressive, and I love it. I'm one of those players that I'm gonna support my coach, right? If my coach say this is what we doing, this is what we're doing. So you win some, you lose some. Is your approach gonna be different this year?
I think our approach is going to be the same. Is we're not going to be afraid to go meet a moment, head on, and I'm not going to be afraid to put the ball in, my quarterback's hands and our offense's hands, and I'm also not going to be afraid, if it doesn't go down, to put our defense out there. But I think every year is a new year. It's a team game, and I think last year, and I was on your show, is you treat all these decisions like they have a life of its own. It's not because hey, we're always. It's never always, and we go into these games and you play them the way they need to be played, the way you feel like they should be played. And I thought we did a really good job last year establishing our way of playing. And then as a team, you're going to grow, you're going to evolve. We don't have the same team, but I think that approach, that mindset is going to be the same. And I knew that was something that I wanted to do when I got this opportunity. And I felt like our players really thrived because of it. And I know that we'll keep getting better at it as we go.
Right. Coach, you did a hell of a job coming off your rookie season. Coming into your second year, what is the biggest difference for you?
I would say you guys know what I'm about to say is that rhythm, that confidence you have going into your second season, and just knowing exactly what's in front of you each day. Last year, everything is happening to you for the first time all the time, all the time. And now that's not the case. I come to this practice field, I know who everybody is that I'm working with and for, and I know these players inside and out, and and then I know my style. I know where I need to be, and when you have a full year to reflect and really be critical of your game, now you know where you need to go. So just being able to have a good mindset here, and we've gotten into a good rhythm here at camp, and what you want is your players just to be able to hit the field and play.
Yeah.
And I think we're a lot better, year 2 than we were last year.
When I first got in the league, right, my welcome to the NFL moment, we were playing Sunday Night Football against the Pats, and the fireworks went off, and they did the flyover, and I was just stuck. I was like, oh my goodness, I made it. Did you have an aha moment as a head coach last year?
Whew, man.
He was like, man, I made it.
Well, I think in the locker room after our first game, I think there was so much going into that, your first game. It was an East Coast trip, long ways, and game was on my mother's birthday. My mom passed away when I was in college, so there was a lot of emotion inside me. And then I think for us to go close that game out, we were 14-19 on 3rd down. We finished the game making 4 third downs to kind of close it out. We came from behind to win. And then you're in the locker room with your guys, and you get to face your group for the first time after a game, the whole organization. And my dream was always to give out a game ball, and so I get to give out my first game ball, and then the team gave me a game ball. That's one of those moments where you're like, okay, all this work that you spend a whole life and you know how many people helped you get there.
Right.
You know, kind of all that flashes before you, and that was probably my first one.
Now that you're here in the big lights, is it any pressure being in the same state as the Rams? Is it any added pressure since they're having success?
Man, Pac, I just think that you know, the NFL is so fierce regardless of what state you're in. I think competition brings out the best in everybody, and that's the place that I coached before here. So I know all those guys, and I wouldn't be here without them, you know, and I think, you know, what makes the NFL special are the people in it, and if you're going to become, you know, a world champion or a team that people look at as, you know, a model franchise, then you got to go prove yourself against the best people in the NFL, and they've certainly proven that, and you know, we're going to be excited to face, you know, teams like them, and you know, it starts in our division, you know, certainly, but we're going to get to play the Rams later on in the season, and that's going to be great for our team and for our franchise.
Quarterback talk. 10. Justin Herbert, special kid, special guy. Does he talk?
Oh yeah,
He does.
Yeah.
Like
what he does is he chooses his words carefully, and I think that's why people like him so much. Is because they know that it's so genuine. He leads with his actions as much as anything, and then when he has something to say, you know that it's really important. But I think when you observe him at practice, in our locker room, in the weight room, in the meetings, he has a great way with our entire team. And I think this year what he's doing a really good job is connecting with our whole football team. And you can do that a lot easier in your second year when you know your offense and you're not worried about just, you know, doing your job, spitting a play call out. When you have that confidence in your job and doing it well, now you can go affect the team in a great way. And he's off to a great start in this camp, you know, and, you know, you guys saw it out there today. You know, when you're on that field and you have to compete against them, you know, you better be ready to go. Because
I'm always watching the little details, and I heard, seen where you said earlier that you guys was going to slow down the offense. What was the emphasis of slowing down the offense?
I think, you know, probably the best quarterbacks you faced, Brandon, the best quarterbacks you played with, they kind of command the play before the ball's even snapped.
Right.
You know, they can undress you where they know exactly.
They can tell you the corner's job.
Correct. And they know where all 22 are, that time and score, that feel of the game. And I think now he's in such a good place to do that, to dictate the game before the ball snapped. Because after the ball snapped, I mean, this guy is as real as it gets now.
What's special about him?
Just fiercest competitor and the highest standard. What you guys may observe as a special throw, I can do better than that. I can do better than that. It's not good enough. We can be better. And he's got this really high standard of performance, and I just know how much it means to him. And the great thing for me as the head coach is he doesn't have to say it. He just proves it all the time. And you know, when your quarterback is one of the guys, and you know he's got that full respect from defense, special teams, his O-line, like, hey, this guy is one of us. You got a chance, and Justin is really special that way.
All right, let's enough of the offense. I know you're a defensive guy. Let's talk defense. Khalil Mack, why did you get him?
Man, well, I think when we got him in Chicago, that was a big reason why. Like, I saw we were a top 10 defense before Khalil came, and then we became the #1 defense, and I saw what he did to our football team, not just our defense, but our football team. And he's a complete football player in every sense, run game, pass game, rugged, doesn't matter what type of game, he'll play it. And then just the fiercest competitor, work ethic, gym rat, you know, and I just knew what that could do for our locker room. And then teaming him up with Joey, you know, if you can team him up with Joey, and then those guys are sharing their stories and then feeding off one another. And
which they were just doing. There was a clip that came out, and they were just
and you guys know it.
There's
probably, like you at Whiteout, there's probably, you know, a coach can only take you so far, but those guys that played your position at the highest level,
right?
That lens that those two have are different.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and so for those two guys to be able to connect every day, it's bringing the best out in them, and then our players are observing that.
Yep.
And then, you know, you can imagine what that's doing for us.
Yeah.
So complete player, and so glad we got him.
Speaking of that, you got a savvy back end. With those guys up front, like you just said, adding Khalil Mack with Bowles, there's going to be, you ain't going to have to guard people for long. You know what I'm saying? So
I hope not.
It looked like y'all are pretty savvy in the back end. I know D. James wasn't out here today. Can you tell us what he means to the defense? It looked like he's the guy, like the quarterback of the defense.
Yeah, you Pac, you got it spot on. You know, they talk about quarterbacks arming quarterbacks on offense with weapons. And what we tried to do this offseason was arm Derwin with weapons on defense so that he can really be at the middle of everything and really play his game and be central to our defense. And I think it was a great job by the Spanos family, Tom Flesko, our coaching staff, onboarding these guys that can really allow Derwin to play his game. Because he does so much for everybody else, like where he plays. He plays both safety spots. He plays star, he plays money, he plays X. He's our signal caller. He's given so much to us. It's like, okay, who's filling him up? Like who's filling him up? And so now we feel like we've got a lot more people to fill him up and bring out the best in him. And that back end has come together nicely. We were able to get Bryce Callahan at the nickel spot, JC Jackson. We've got Asante, Nas, and then we've got a bunch of young guys, as you could probably appreciate. We drafted a bunch of young guys these last 2 years who are fighting and competing, and so we got a great culture in the back end, and Derwin certainly leading the way. And we got Ronaldo Hill, who played 10 years in the league at safety.
I played with him.
Yeah, you know our Hill.
Yes.
And so it was funny. I meet Champ Bailey, and Champ Bailey, Hall of Fame DB, is telling me like, hey man, this is the guy that was lining me up, and this is the guy that's running the show. And when Nadia and I got together, again, what you're trying to do on your team is give people, hey, that guy played 10 years. He has a lens that I don't have.
That's right.
And we got 2 other guys on defense that played in the league, and but that DB group, how collective it is. You got to play together, and we got a great environment going.
So this is the great thing about being in the NFL. This is why I would say Pac and I are super savvy when it comes to the media. We're media trained. You see how Coach tried to shift to a new topic and new people, right? But we're going to go back a little bit because I like to get messy. Coach, you talked about DJ, Derwin.
Yeah.
When is the deal going to get done?
Oh, man. Guy like you and guy like Pac. You guys, hey, I'm going to flip the script on you guys. Hey, you guys know that when you're as good as you two are and as he is, that patience is a virtue.
Yeah,
and
get done.
when you're dealing with contracts like that, involving that, there's little things. It's not big things, they're little things. But I know that, here's what we do have. We have full respect, full communication with him,
right,
and his agent David Mulugeta, who's one of the best in the game. And that's what you got to do. You got to have full communication, and trust me, Derwin, David, that whole group, our players, our fans, they know how much he means to us, and it'll be here when it's here.
You ended the last defensive question with this. You had a chance to coach AD, who is arguably the best defensive player to play the game. When you see Mac and Bosa running around, does that give you any like, he's right there at it, or he's right behind him?
Well, I've had AD, Ramsey, Vaughn, these 2 guys, Derwin, some of the, premier players at their position, and I think future Hall of Fame players. And what I'll tell you that they all have is there's a special presence that they all have where you don't need to hear anything. You feel something when you're around them. And that's what all those guys have in common. And I think the other thing that all those guys have in common is the pride they have in their game. Like when they take a field, like the pride they have in what their game looks like. And you're talking about those guys. I mean, I've learned so much from them. I've become so much better of a coach because of them. And not just because of the wins and losses and the defensive rankings, but just it's the little things that they have in their game that make such a big difference. And AD, I do believe that you're right. I believe that he will be considered one of the greatest players to ever play on defense. And again, he doesn't have to say anything. He just proves it. And anybody that's coached or played, you just watch him. Yeah. And he's the same way every day. And I'm glad to certainly have coached him and be in his life for sure.
2 more questions for me. All right, a fun one, but it's going to be a challenge for you.
Ooh.
You got AD over here.
Oh, man.
You got Mac and Bosa here.
Okay.
You can take Mac and Bosa or AD?
Man.
Yes.
You just did this. That's a messy question. That's a messy question.
Come on.
That's a messy question. Man. Who's our quarterback? That's what a good coach would say. Hey, who's our quarterback?
Another question before a team, land the plane. Loaded division. Loaded. Quarterback position, you talked about the quarterback. Who's our quarterback? That matters. You got Derek Carr, you got Russell Wilson, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got y'all boy. You got some really good coaches. You got some really good defenses. How do you keep this team level-headed? And how do you guys close the gap if you think there is a gap?
Yeah, I think what you just said is you got to focus on your own team, because if you're worried about somebody else's team, then that's when you'll have the little holes in your own team. You got to focus on your team, and when you do that, then you're going to be ready for them.
Right.
You know, and I think that's what our approach has been is to make sure that this team becomes what it's capable of being, and so it's ready to face any of those people that you mentioned and the rest of the league, because it's not just about your own division. Okay, that's where it starts. Okay, it's the easiest way to make the playoffs, but you got a bunch of other games too that count. And what we want to do is build this team to play against anybody. And the way you do that is you make your practice field sacred, and you know, you're making each other better so that you're ready for whoever you play.
Is the AFC West the most competitive division in football?
I think that the quarterbacks certainly elevate the profile of the division, because everybody's proven to be, you know, a franchise star quarterback. You got Super Bowl champions, you got passing champions, and then there's a lot of great coaches there too. So it's going to be as good as any. I know that, and you know, I think that you know, we're, like the way the schedule's starting, you play two of them to you know, right out the get-go. So
right.
That's it's going to elevate the performance of everybody, and I think the NFL is going to be in for a special year.
I think that was great, Coach. We got a funny question. What's the capital of
California?
Sacramento.
There you go. You got to teach your boy Keenan Allen.
What did he say? Like Berkeley?
He didn't know. He's been here 13 years.
Berkeley, or like what did he say?
13 years.
Like,
he didn't know. We said LA. He said, yeah, that's LA. I said,
went to Cal, and he went to Cal.
Right. He
The number one public school, number one public institution in the world. He didn't know the capital.
Yeah.
That's an indictment on Cal.
Hey, I Am Athlete tonight.
Thank you,
Tune in,
Coach.
Sirius XM. We got Coach Brandon Staley, one of the brightest minds in football. And you heard the man. He's going to continue to be aggressive. He's going to play his game. He's going to coach his game. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you guys.
That was a good one.
Fun,
That
man.
was good.
It was fun, man.
Let's get a
You
good
guys are
picture.
killing it.